This is the new 2024 Kia Sorento XRT. It's a 3-row mid-size crossover that finally has some off-road capability. Or does it? We're going to check out all the features and then put it to the test, right now on Driving Sports TV. For 2024, the Kia Sorento gets a mid-cycle refresh. And even though this isn't all new, there is enough here to pique most buyers' interests. This is also the first time that Kia has offered its XPRO package on the Sorento. And I have to say, it looks pretty good. But let's dig a little bit deeper. The model we're testing today is the top Prestige trim with all-wheel drive and the XPRO option. Price as it sits here with a few extras, $49,400 US including destination. The XPRO comes standard with the BFG Trail Terrain TA tires. Now these are a pretty decent all-terrain tire. My concern with them is really just the tread pattern design doesn't allow for a lot of water evacuation, but I do like them off-road. These are a 235/65 R17 fitment. Often when a manufacturer takes a crossover and adds all-terrain tires, they don't also size down the wheel, but that is exactly what Kia's done here. That gives us more sidewall, which is better for off-road. Ground clearance is also increased up to 8.2 inches. While our Canadian cousins to the north get all sorts of great drive modes, including mud and sand, down here in the US, we are stuck with the basics. We get Eco, Sport, Smart, and Snow. Under the hood is a 2.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, good for 281 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque. It's connected to an 8-speed dual-clutch transmission, which frankly we have had some issues with on the trail. It simply does not like to crawl. I would have preferred to see a standard automatic here, but unfortunately that is only offered on lower trim Kias. All-wheel drive is included on this trim. Like other Kias, it uses a multi-plate clutch to shift power to the back wheels. EPA rates economy at 20 miles to the gallon in town and 27 on the highway. The XPRO package also includes a larger radiator up front. That helps with cooling overall and helps this little guy tow up to 4,500 pounds, which is quite a lot. You will note it does not include, however, a tow hitch receiver. Now let's look inside. In the back, cargo space is tiny with the third row in place, only 12.6 cubic feet. Fold it down for 38.5 cubic feet. With all rows folded flat, you're looking at a maximum 75.5 cubic feet overall. So you're probably wondering, can you car camp in it? Actually, yeah, this floor is flat. There is a gap here, of course, because it is fancy seats in the second row, but you can fill that with something. Overall, feels really good. Very solid floor too. I don't feel like I'm gonna break anything, which is nice. And then of course, open up this massive panorama sunroof and you can enjoy the stars all night long. Another nice feature is that the roof line's actually recessed a little bit so I can sit on the tailgate, totally comfortable. This is great. And be protected from the inevitable rain since I live in the Pacific Northwest. Back here, you also get USB-C sockets in the third row and a 12-volt power in the back. That's pretty nice. Ooh, and a light right there. I like these lights. More companies should include lights in the back. I especially like how Subaru includes them up here on some trims. This is still pretty good. Under the floor here, we get extra storage and a jack. A spare tire is actually mounted under the vehicle. Okay, let's check out this third row. Slides easy forward, get up. Oh yeah, that's a bench. I mean, it's kind of shocking. I do fit, not the most comfortable. My feet are almost as high as my bottom, and that is just not comfortable. However, I do get cup holders, and I also get USB-C sockets all the way back here. So that's good. Although I do see that the second row slider buttons are accessible back here. I can totally see siblings messing with other siblings with those buttons there. Okay, let's check out that second row. What do we got? Oh, we got captain's chairs, which are really nice. adjustable arm rest there. I get vents in the middle, 12-volt power socket, an AC power socket, very nice, cup holder in the door where it's actually convenient to reach, seat warmers, and a privacy screen. Looking up, I see this massive panorama sunroof. It just lets in so much light. I feel like I'm bathing in light in here, which is really, really cool. And then I noticed this. It's got an Alcantara headliner, which looks really swanky. Although I am a little concerned on having to clean this should you pop down a mocha and have a coffee can and hit it. That would be a pain to clean. But it does look really nice right now. Oh, yeah, oh, hi there. Seat just slid forward for me. Yeah, love this interior. It's powered up. The way they've integrated the curved display into this is kind of a wood tone insert there. It just looks very classy. Below that, we have their 2-mode touch panel, which I don't actually mind. Typically, I want to have physical buttons that don't change. This is kind of okay because it just basically gives you quick keys, but most of the time you're going to have it on aircon. And that's where you can pretty much control all the aircon with just a single touch. They don't make you dive into the menu, so that's good. Below that, we get lots of power options. We have 2 USB-C sockets. We have wireless charging. We have both ventilated and heated seats. Back here, we have a traditional transmission controller. Behind that, we have the center lock for the multi-plate clutch for the all-wheel drive system, and then also the different drive modes, Snow, Smart, Sport, and Eco. And then we have some other things like a heated steering wheel, very nice, hill descent control, parking assist, and parking sonars. Steering wheel, it is a 2-tone affair. It's not my favorite, but it's okay. It does have paddle shifters, which feel pretty good, and I get quick keys on the wheel itself. As for the gauge cluster, it is digital because of course we have 2 12.4-inch displays here masquerading as one big curved display. Very easy to read even in direct sunlight like I have right here, and I can quickly go through all the options, and I have a couple different layout configurations. Overall, pretty good. On the right, yep, we have Kia's infotainment, and I kind of love it on a curved display actually. It just feels really good to the hand. This does include all the stuff you would expect. We have weather, valet, maintenance, you know, whatever. We even have navigation here, which is nice. Let's try voice command. Navigate to the nearest coffee house. Yep.
You want to go to.
Oh, it actually was looking for literal places named coffee house. That's not great. Find the nearest cafe.
Please say the line number of the location.
Okay, there we go. It shows close to home espresso, 5 miles away. That is correct. We also can do other stuff maybe. Set temperature to 65 degrees.
Setting the temperature to 60.
Boom, there we go. And the fan kicks on. That is pretty nice. In addition to XM satellite radio, you can also do Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, either wired or wireless. And the sound system is by Bose, so this is a premium system. We of course have all the standard safety stuff that you would expect in 2024. We have a backup camera with a full surround view. Yeah, you're paying a lot of money for this, but you're also getting a lot of features. Blind spot warning, collision mitigation. Is that a digital mirror? Yes, it's a digital mirror. So there's actually a camera in the back so I can look through all my people and gear and actually get a good view out the back. Although normally when driving around, I just put that into normal mirror mode. Leather interior. Yeah, overall, this is a really nice interior. I have to say, a few years ago, not a fan of Kia interiors, but this I like. But how does it drive? And more important, how well does it do off-road? Well, first we're going to take it out on the street, and then we're going to bring it back here to our Peninsula Proving Grounds to see how good this all-wheel drive system is, coupled with the BFG Trail Terrain tires. Let's do it. Because this is the XPRO trim, this doesn't just compete with the Honda Pilot, it actually directly competes with the Honda Pilot Trailsport. And, fun fact, price as equipped, like we have it here, it's actually the same price as the Pilot Trailsport. When you really compare both, the fact is that the Pilot is a more fully realized crossover off-roader than this one is. This one kind of tilts more towards comfort in spite of the trail tires that are attached to it. Because it doesn't have underbody protection, it doesn't have a dedicated trail mode, and it doesn't have the advanced IVTM4 with the revised rear drive unit that the Pilot has. It does an exceptional job of shifting power to the back and side to side. This is just using Kia's standard all-wheel drive system. I'm not saying that's bad, I'm just saying this isn't as fully baked as the Pilot Trailsport. Power is plentiful, and especially when you're comparing against the Pilot, I mean, that comes standard with the 3.5 liter V6 that has been newly revised for 2024. This has a smaller turbo. I think the biggest argument is probably reliability. A lot of people think that the V6 will be a more reliable power unit than a high-strung Turbo 4, and I can't say they're wrong, but only time will really tell which one of these two vehicles is going to be the more reliable. In terms of comfort overall, yeah, this is a very comfortable ride. I especially like these seats. They're really nicely tailored. I love the fact that they have both heat and ventilation. It's just a really nice place to hang out. And then let's talk about this sunroof. It lets in so much light. Normally, it's a little bit of a struggle to get light into a cabin when filming. This one, yeah, no issue. It's as bright inside as it is outside, and that is rare. Of course, we have a number of drive modes here. We have normal, snow, smart, sport, and eco. Let's switch it over to sport and see how that switches things up. Yeah, throttle comes on a little bit quicker. I also feel like it's more aggressively sending power to the back. But unlike the Pilot, this cannot push more power to the outside rear wheel to help with cornering. That actually overdrives the rear outside wheel to give you kind of almost a four-wheel steering feel. This one feels good, but it's not exceptional. It just feels like an all-wheel drive system doing its job. So I would say definitely this is a less performance-oriented all-wheel drive system and more about safety. I think Kia has done an excellent job with this interior, especially when compared to the Pilot. This is a much more luxurious and refined look. It's also very unique. But credit where credit due, the Pilot has a much wider and expansive feeling cabin. I mean, that vehicle feels twice as big on the inside as it is on the outside. And that really just comes down to Honda being a master of packaging. However, the materials here, the look, this is definitely a higher end feeling cabin. I especially like the curved display. This thing just looks exceptional. And even in direct sunlight, it is still very viewable, which would be my first concern. It's like, well, you didn't tuck it in there, you're not shaded, how are you gonna read it? Well, it's totally readable even in direct sunlight, which is nice. Regarding handling, in normal mode, the steering inputs are a little bit on the light side. If I switch over to sport, it does firm it up just a wee bit, but not a lot. It just kind of has a vague light steering feel, and that is, I think, just typical for the Kia and Hyundai vehicles. Of course, they're sister companies and they use a lot of the same components. It's unexceptional. And then switching back to normal, and then regarding the suspension, which is a pretty straightforward setup, we have independent on the front and the rear, and it does drive nice. But again, unexceptional. I feel like it's doing the job and it's not really doing anything beyond that. It's the suspension that shows up at 9 o'clock, leaves at 5 o'clock, does everything you want and nothing else. And you can't really complain about that, but you kind of would wish there was something a little bit, you know, stay till 5:05 maybe. Nope, this is a 5 o'clock punch card kind of suspension. And it's fine. Did I say it's fine? Because it's fine. Now the gauge cluster here is interesting. You can either go with a all digital layout or you can go with a couple fake analog gauges. I actually prefer the digital, and the reason is because in my seating position here, the steering wheel actually cuts out the sweeping hands of the speedo. I can't actually see what speed I'm going. And I've tried to adjust, I go back, I go down, I go sideways, Without putting the wheel all the way up, I just can't see it. However, the digital one lets me see it. And the design is pretty nice. And whether you're in digital or analog looking gauges, if you put your blinker on, you still get that view of the turn signal cameras in the gauge cluster, which is a kind of a cool effect. Let's go ahead and put it back into sport. I know I keep switching from sport to normal, but ooh, I like that. This is a twin clutch, so this is the kind of, you know, transmission which you might want to actually shift on your own. Of course, we're on all-terrain tires here, which aren't exactly the best for sweepers. Shifts quick. Whoa! Okay, this can actually be kind of fun. Doesn't feel exceptionally fast, but it feels quick. So is there anything I don't like about this vehicle? I mean, I love the interior. I think it is just absolutely stunning. The driving, it's fine. It's fine. I don't love a twin clutch. I don't love a small turbo. I mean, it's fine. Is it more fun to drive this than it is the Honda Pilot? Well, no, because the iVTM4 system really makes the Pilot shine even in the corners. I mean, you can lay down the power and feel like that thing is actually carving through the corners. This one, you feel like you're just getting through the corners. And that's a pretty stark distinction if you enjoy driving. But I understand if you're just trying to get from point A to point B, both will get you there. The Pilot does have more cargo capacity than this does, though. This is a slightly smaller 3-row. But it doesn't look like a big chunky 3-row. And I got to admit, the Pilot, even in Trailsport trim, it's not the most exciting thing to look at. I think this is a very handsome package. Right, so we got a nice level part of the highway here. Let's try 0 to 60. Now I'm going to put it into sport, although I guarantee that doesn't do anything. We're completely stopped. And 3, 2, 1, hit it! And whoa, there we go. Took a moment for that turbo to kick in, and 60. I mean, that's kind of the problem when you take a 4-cylinder, add a turbo, and you try to get into the like upper 200 horsepower range. There's going to be compromise, and usually that compromise is turbo lag. And this definitely has a little bit of turbo lag, but it's not horrible. It's not like some of the old laggy turbos of like the early aughts. No, this is actually a very drivable setup. But if you're trying to make those 0 to 60 runs, yeah, you better make sure that you're at least right in the zone in terms of where your spool is, instead of like, you know, trying to do a full throttle pass at 1500 RPM. You gotta wait a minute for that turbo to catch up. Of course, this does come loaded with all the safety stuff you would expect. We have collision mitigation, blind spot monitoring, surround view camera system with cross traffic alerts, a really nice display that you can look at it on. And then of course it also has adaptive cruise control. Let's go ahead and turn that on. I just hit a button there. I hit set there, and let's make sure that I have lane detect on, which is that button. When my steering wheel goes green, it is now steering for me. Now, it is a hands-on system. I am merely taking my hands off to show you how much it's actually doing the work, and it's doing a lot of aggressive work. We have a little bit of a corner here. Let's see how well it tracks it. That's solid, man. That's good. Put my hands back on the wheel, it says, and we're off to the races. Okay, so adaptive cruise with lane centering works great here. It's nice to drive on the street. It's got a peaky motor that provides good output. But how is it when you hit the trail? I mean, this is the XPRO. It has legitimate trail tires on it. Can it actually get through our course? I expect it can. So the biggest issue here is, of course, going to be approach angle, overall ground clearance, because you're looking at just over 8 inches of ground clearance. Not a lot for the class, but acceptable. But is this good enough? I think we're going to find out, because we're taking this right now to the Peninsula Proving Grounds, our location where we test out all-wheel drive capability on crossovers. And we're going to see how well this can do with a variety of tests. So for our first test, we're going to take this through what we call the Fun Forest. It's an easy course that really just tests power shifting around the system. Normally, if you're going to go into a challenging situation, you want to set up the vehicle in advance, but I want to kind of show you how the different settings here affect the all-wheel drive system. I have my power distribution screen up here. I will tell you what it says. Turn off those parking sensors. And then I'm just gonna slowly crawl up here and let's see what this all-wheel drive system does. So it's looking to me like it's shifting about 50% of power to the front, 50 to the back. Traction control is kicking in. Is it gonna get us any progress here? Okay, this is where it usually has difficult lifting. Oh, got us up, no problem. Didn't have to hit the lock button, didn't have to go into another drive mode. Worked fine. Actually, that's pretty good. And now we're gonna dip down into the hole, which is gonna lift up that rear passenger side tire. Probably quite high, I would expect. And then we climb out of the hole. Watch for those trees. Come on, traction kick in. Kick in. Yeah, we're doing good here so far. Okay, now this is gonna be a little more challenging as we go down into the hole and then have to climb right back out again. Go down there. Now at this point, yeah, we're seesawing. We have this wheel and that wheel are off the ground. I'm just gonna go ahead and make sure that we go drive. Just gonna add power and see if we can climb out here. Okay, stop to totally. Come on, parking sensors. Add a little throttle, and how well does that traction system do? It's showing me a 50-50 power split, even without turning lock on. You know, lock really is just a suggestion at the beginning of driving, and so it starts in a locked position, whereas the sensors are so fast, they typically clamp down almost immediately anyway. Also, hey, no overheating or complaining from the transmission. This is actually doing pretty good. I was wondering if that new radiator that they added, which is a higher capacity radiator, helped the transmission. Maybe it does, because no issues. Okay, out of the forest, try not to hit these trees. And now we have a little bump here. This only has a little bit more than 8 inches of ground clearance, so let's listen for grinding. Ooh, barely touches. Okay, now we're gonna try the logs, and I'm gonna try something a little different this time. Parking sensor keeps coming on. I'm going to go ahead and do the center lock, and I'm going to put it into snow mode. What that will do is not only direct more power to the back immediately, it will also slow down the throttle pedal so that I have to add more throttle for more power. The benefit there is I should have a better feel on what's going on with my throttle pedal. So basically, it's not going to be like rrr, rrr. It'd be more like rrr, which is kind of what you want when you're going over complicated terrain. So let's see. Go over the first log. Now I would like wheel tracking lines, but I don't get them with my front view. Okay, let's just go ahead and go over this. First log. Listen for any crunching. My power distribution screen is definitely showing me 50-50 power split. Oh, 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 oh. Now, if you've ever heard that a vehicle like this can do more than 50% to the back, that's one of those theoretical things, whereas if like both wheels in the front were on ice, then all the power would go to the back, but it's really a theoretical. Ooh, okay, come on, come on. I'm full throttle and it is just not getting over. It can't lift itself. Seriously? We have to use momentum to get over this? Typically don't have problems. And the parking sensors have turned back on. Come on, get over the log. You can do this. Just lift yourself up. Oh my gosh. Wow, that was way more work than I pretty much had with any other vehicle. That's kind of crazy. Oop, I think we're kind of rubbing there. Might be 8.1 inches of ground clearance, but it's not a lot. It has some things hanging down, I think. Yeah, those control arms, they are way down there. Probably hooked up right here. And then it was losing traction, it was just spending its power. Not cool. So ground clearance is a potential issue here. I can definitely tell that. But the overall performance has been good so far. So what do we do next? Do we take this over the ridge road? Gotta think about that. Oh, here we go. Okay. In snow mode, it wasn't able to get enough power down, so I'm kind of wondering if the maximum power is limited in that setting. because it definitely was having some issues getting power down through the logs. And I really haven't had problems with anything getting through the logs, so that was a real big surprise. Of course, it did just fine in the fun forest, so that was no issue at all. Since we successfully conquered the easy trails, let's try the ridge road. See if we can get through this. Okay, so far doing okay. It's a little loose, but it's not too hard to get up this. I have to say, visibility is not great though. I cannot see this ridge road at all from inside. And frankly, this surround view camera really isn't helping a lot. I mean, like that there, that doesn't really help me. It's a bunch of mush. I can't see where the ridge actually is. They're not accurate enough. I mean, that's probably the best view. Now let's go into the ditch and see if we can get through this. A lot of crossovers have problems with this because of the approach. Oh boy. Oh man, I think we're stuck. Not enough clearance in the front. Let's give some traction in the back too, because that rear wheel is lifted. Okay, let's see if we can get this out. I'm in lock. Let's go maximum power to the back with snow. See if we can climb out now with these boards under. Yes, traction boards for the win. Okay, we now know not going to get through there with this vehicle. Okay, well, that didn't work very well. Come on. Even with proper all-terrain tires, it's still having a heck of a time getting through it and out of it, and that's mostly because this is a unibody. You know, it's lifting wheels. It's not getting that grip to the ground. And then once it can't put a wheel on the ground, it just spins. It can't channel that power where it's needed. And that's disappointing. So from a looks perspective and as a daily driver, this is a fantastic vehicle. However, if you're gonna go into any challenging trails, just because this has all terrains doesn't mean you're gonna get through anything. And I think that is where we need to end. For Driving Sports TV, I'm Ryan Douthit. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share videos. We make them for you. And I hope you enjoy reviews just like this, where we really see just how capable these machines are.